Hi everyone, this is Cassie from Desert Sun Yoga. Today I'm going to lead you through a restorative yoga class. This is friendly for all levels of yogis, from beginners to really experienced students. The most difficult thing about restorative yoga is the slow movement. Restorative yoga is intended to help activate the rest and relaxation response in your central nervous system. We move a little bit slower through things as we work on mobility, gentle stretches, and exercises. So make sure that you're set up in a place where you won't be disturbed for about an hour. And the only prop that I plan to use today is a blanket for one of our opening postures. So if you have a blanket or a stack of pillows, that's great. I'm actually going to take my blanket and roll it up so that I can open my chest as we start our centering process. So I'm going to lay my blanket long ways on my mat, plant my feet onto the floor, and start to lay back onto my blanket. Good. If your head is not rest on your blanket, you can adjust to make sure that it is. The blanket just helps open up through your chest, which is really great, especially if you've been spending a lot of time on a computer or on a couch. This just reverses a lot of what being on a computer does to your spine and to your chest. Now you can keep your feet planted on the floor like I have mine right now. You can bring the soles of your feet together, allow your knees to open out wide for butterfly. If you have other pillows or blankets nearby, you can put them underneath your thighs here to make this a bit easier, a bit more gentle on your hips. If it feels okay, you can stretch your legs out long for a full Shavasana. If you haven't already, close your eyes. Take a moment to check in with yourself mentally today. Just reflect a bit on how your mood has been throughout the day. And then check in with your physical self. If any parts of your body feel particularly tense, or if you're nursing any injuries, or maybe you feel really loose and light today. Our emotional and physical states are intimately connected. So if today you're feeling a bit more stressed out or maybe cranky, it wouldn't be too surprising if your body felt a little tighter. And that's okay. When you bring awareness to this, you start to learn more about yourself. And you can recognize that throughout your practice. In restorative yoga, we try to find peace, try to find the present moment. They say that if you're depressed, you're probably living in the past. And if you're anxious, you're probably living in the future. We can find peace when we allow ourselves to be in the present moment and content with the present moment. One of the best techniques for doing this is to start to recognize your breath. So wherever you are in your breath, exhale everything out. through your nose. Slowly inhale. Fill up your belly, fill up your ribs, fill up your chest. Pause. Open your mouth, sigh it out. Do that again. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold your breath. Sigh it out. One more time. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Sigh. Come back to a little bit more of a natural breath. In and out through just your nose. See if you can tap into a Ujjayi breath. It's a common technique in yoga where you breathe in and out through just your nose. You also try to keep your inhales and exhales even with one another. As you control the pace of your breath, you create sound in the back of your throat. It might sound like ocean waves, or kind of like a Darth Vader breath. This helps to even out your nervous system, so maybe if you're feeling a little bit more anxious or energized, it helps you bring yourself back to a calm place. On the other hand, if you're feeling really tired, this helps you bring you back up a bit. And take one more breath here. If you're lying on a prop, like I am, you'll start to really gently plant your feet onto the floor. Roll off of the side of your prop and ditch the prop out of your way so that you can roll onto your back so that you're flat on your mat. Plant your feet onto the floor if they're not already. Press into your feet. Take just a little lift of your hips. Take just a little tuck of your tailbone. Settle your hips back onto the floor. It should feel like your spine's a little bit more neutral when you do that. Hug your knees towards your chest. Don't wrap your arms around your legs though. Allow your arms just to stay wherever they want to. Try to hug your rib cage into the midline of your body. When you do that, you feel the middle part of your back press down against the mat. Hug your belly button to your spine, and when you do that, you should feel your lower back press down against the mat. Nice. Try to keep this engagement through your belly and gently let your hips, your lower part of your torso, sway side to side. Start to massage your lower back against your mat. Good. And pause back in the center. Still hugging your rib cage to the midline, still pressing your lower back against your mat. Bring your hands onto your knees. Knees will go in the opposite direction of one another as you take circles with your knees. So big circles to loosen up through your hips, through your sacrum. Find a little core engagement. Take your circles in the other direction. Nice job. Eventually pause with your knees hugged in towards your chest and stretch your legs up to the sky. Let your knees be really soft. Stretch your arms up to the sky. Let your elbows and wrists be soft. And take circles with your wrists and ankles in one direction. Start to loosen up some of your smaller joints. And take your circles in the other direction. And pause in the center. Spread your fingertips out as wide as you can. Try to spread your toes out as wide as you can. And can you wiggle your fingers? Can you wiggle your toes? Good. So important to get some circulation going through your toes. Take a breath. And pause. Take an inhale. Exhale, bend your knees, bring your heels to your glutes, bend your elbows, bring your fingertips by your ears. Inhale, stretch everything back up to the ceiling. Exhale, bend your knees, bend your elbows. Inhale, stretch it back up. Exhale, bend your knees, bend your elbows. Inhale, stretch up. Go really slow. Exhale, bend. Inhale, extend. Go for about 3 more rounds. One more. Inhale, extend everything up. Pause here, take 2 deep breaths. Bend your knees. Open your arms out wide to a T position with your palms faced up to the ceiling. Flex your feet. Stack your knees directly above your hips and hug your belly button to your spine. You should feel just a little bit of core work going on here. I want you to lift your hips off the floor and scooch them to the right about an inch. So your lower comes at a slight angle. Allow both of your knees to fall all the way over to the left until your hips are stacked one on top of the other. Let your left hand come on top of your right thigh. You can gaze to the ceiling. Maybe it's comfortable to gaze over your right shoulder. Maybe it's comfortable to flip your right palm face down onto the floor. If you're not comfortable, if you experience any pain, go back to the previous step and keep backtracking until you're experiencing no pain. In twists, it can feel like you're constricted in your breath. But see if you can follow your breath a little bit. See if other areas of your body can compensate to help you take a full inhale. In a twist, you can think about really lengthening through your spine as you inhale, filling up through your chest. And take one more breath. Hug your knees in towards your chest as you roll over onto your back again. Bring your hips back towards the center of your mat. Open your arms out wide into a T position, palms faced up. Flex your feet, stack your knees directly above your hips. Lift your hips up, shift them to the left about an inch, and let both of your knees fall all the way over to the right. So your hips are stacked one on top of the other. You can bring your right hand on top of your left thigh. Look anywhere that's comfortable for your neck. Maybe it feels good to flip your left palm face down onto the floor. And try to find a consistent breath. Stay connected to your Ujjayi breath. And take one more breath here. Hug your knees back in towards your chest as you roll over onto your back again. Bring your hips back towards the center of your space. Wrap your arms around your shins. Lift your head and shoulders off the floor. Try to bring your forehead to your knees. Squeeze into a little ball. Good. Take a full breath here. As you inhale, stretch your legs out to hover above the floor. Stretch your arms overhead to hover above the floor. Exhale, hug your knees into your chest. Give yourself a hug. Inhale, stretch your legs out. Stretch your arms overhead. Exhale, hug yourself into a little ball. Inhale, stretch forward and back. Exhale, knees into your chest. Keep your low back pressed against the mat. As you inhale, stretch out. Exhale, hug it in. Do that 3 more times. Inhale to stretch. Exhale, 2 more. Exhale, knees to chest. Hold yourself in a big hug. Grab onto just your right shin. Extend your left leg out long onto the floor. Let your head and shoulders come back to the mat. Flex your left toes up to the ceiling. And then notice your left leg. Notice if you're locked out into your left knee. See if you can keep your toes flexed up, but relax your knee. Make sure you have just a tiny little tuck of your chin so the back of your head is neutral on your mat. It should feel like you're giving yourself a super sexy little double chin. And one more breath here. And let your right knee come out towards the side of your body. Ever so slightly bring your knee closer to your armpit. And take one more breath. Bring your right knee back towards the center of your body. Plant your right foot down onto your mat. Plant your left foot onto your mat. Extend your right leg out long onto the floor. Flex your right toes up to the sky and see if you can relax your knee. Hug your left knee in towards your chest, shoulders away from your ears, slight tuck of your chin. And then notice, because you hugged your leg in, if you changed anything about your right leg. Keep your toes flexed up and your knee soft. Open your left knee out towards the side of your body and very gently try to squeeze your knee a little closer up towards your left armpit. And take one more breath. Bring your left knee back towards the center of your body. Plant your left foot onto your mat. Plant your right foot onto your mat. Roll all the way over onto the right side of your body. Plant your left hand against the floor to help push yourself all the way up to a seated position. Legs come to crisscross applesauce. And just notice what leg you naturally have crossed on top. See if you can cross the opposite leg on top. This should feel a little awkward, but that's okay. Notice also if you hinge forward at your hips a little bit. That might be a compensation to be nicer to your lower back muscles, but it's not good for your joints. So see if you can lean back until it really feels like your spine is fully stacked. Relax your shoulders. Keep your spine really tall. Tuck your chin to your chest. Gently roll your right ear to your right shoulder. Come back down to center. Take it to the left. Down to center. To the right. Down to center. To the left. Down to center, to the right. This time, take a full circle. Lift your face all the way up to the ceiling. Chin to your chest. Take one more circle in that direction. And pause with your chin at your chest. Take 2 gentle circles in the opposite direction. And pause with your chin at your chest. Lift your head back to neutral. Allow your right fingertips to come down onto the floor just to the right side of your body. Reach your left arm up to the ceiling. Roll your left shoulder down. Take a lengthening inhale. As you exhale, really gently side stretch to the right. Make sure you're not folded. You want shoulders stacked one on top of the other. Try to push yourself away from your right hand so you lift up through your left rib cage. Try to keep your left hip grounded. And take one more breath. Use your core strength to peel yourself back up through center. Let your left fingertips come down onto the side of your body. Reach your right arm up to the ceiling. Roll your right shoulder down. Take a lengthening inhale. Exhale, gently side stretch to the left for a right side body stretch. You push yourself away from the floor to lift through your right rib cage. You roll your shoulders down. Keep your right hip grounded. And you breathe. Take one more breath. Use your core strength to peel yourself all the way back up to a seat. Bring your fingertips onto your shoulders like you're wearing a big poofy 80s prom dress. And then take big circles with your elbows in one direction. And take your circles in the other direction. Excellent. Pause in the center. Stretch your arms out in front of you, shoulder distance apart. Plant your hands onto the floor. Come forward, uncross your legs, and adjust your knees and your wrists so that you're in a tabletop position. Wrists are stacked right underneath your shoulders. Knees are right underneath your hips. Back of your head is in line with your spine. Hug your belly button to your spine. Press the tops of your feet down against the mat here so that you're still engaged through your belly. Take a single breath. As you inhale, open your chest, lift your gaze. Exhale, push the floor away, round your spine, tuck your chin. Inhale, open your chest, lift your gaze. Exhale, belly button to spine as you round, tuck your chin. Do about 3 more, go slower. Inhale, open. Exhale, round. Inhale, open. Exhale, round. One more. And pause back in a neutral spine. Bring your big toes together. Open your knees out a bit wider. Sink your hips to your heels. Stretch your arms further out in front of you. Forehead comes down to the floor. And try to notice the back side of your body as you breathe in and out. Where you create space, where you stretch as you breathe in. Where you can relax and surrender as you breathe out. Take one more breath here. Come back up onto your hands and knees. Bring your knees back to about hip distance apart and lower yourself all the way down onto your belly. Then bring your forearms onto the floor, elbows underneath your shoulders. Try to bring your big toes together and really start to engage through the backside of your body. So try to root your pelvis to the floor. Think belly button to spine. Engage through your glutes. Engage through your hamstrings. Make sure your elbows are right underneath your shoulders. And try to push yourself away from your forearms, almost as though you're doing a forearm plank. Keep a little double chin as you look forward for Sphinx pose. This is a great counter, especially for my people that are doing a lot of computer work, sitting at desks. Maybe sitting down and driving a lot. As we're opening up the front side of your body, which gets to be really tight as you sit maybe a little bit rounded. We're also starting to strengthen the back side of your body by staying engaged through your hamstrings, through your glutes by pushing yourself away from the floor, which is perfect because all of that rounding also tends to weaken the back side of your body. Take 2 more deep breaths. Very carefully come out of this. Press into your hands and let your elbows open out a little bit wider so you can bring your head down to the floor. And bring your arms out to a T position. Take a look at your right arm. And make sure your right elbow is in line with your right shoulder. And slide your left hand under your left shoulder. Tiptoe your right fingertips a little further away from you as you start to really gently roll to your right side. Now, you want to be careful here, first that you're not overdoing it in your shoulder, so you can unwind a little bit if you need. But then check in with your left knee. Does it feel more comfortable for you to have your foot on the floor with your knee pointing to the ceiling? Does it feel more comfortable to maybe have your legs stretched out, reaching to the back wall? Or maybe kind of like you're sleeping at night, you hug your left knee in towards your chest and bring it onto the floor. No way is better than the other. And take one more breath here. Super gently start to roll over onto your belly again. Bring your left arm out to a T position. Make sure your elbow's in line with your shoulder. Right hand under your shoulder. Tiptoe your left fingertips a bit further away from you as you start to roll over to your left side. Did you guys hear that crack? Now you can keep your foot on the floor, stretch your leg out, knee to chest. The sides might be a bit different, so you don't always have to treat them exactly the same. More than anything, you just want to treat the sides with kindness, with honesty, not forcing yourself to be in one spot or the other. And take one more breath here. And gently start to roll over onto your belly again. We'll take that a step further to get deeper into your pecs. You won't get as deep into the posture though, and that's okay. I want you to bring your right arm out into a goalpost position. Make sure your elbow is in line with your shoulder. Slide your right arm a little bit further out to the right and really gently start to roll to your right side. And again, you're not going to get as deep here. Try not to force yourself to. Pain is not gain in our restorative yoga practice. And take one more breath. Really gently start to roll over onto your belly. Bring your left arm out to a goalpost position. Bring your right hand under your right shoulder. Slide your left arm a little further out to the left as you roll towards your left side. Not only are you not going to get as deep, but the sides in this especially are probably a bit different. Take one more breath here. Very gently start to roll over onto your belly again. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Press into your hands so that you can lift yourself up. Bring your knees together, heels together. Sink your hips to your heels. Reach your hands behind you towards your feet, forehead to the floor for a fetal position. Now, if that's not accessible to you, you can stack your fists one on top of the other to let your head rest on your fists. Or if you've got a soft surface, you don't usually want to use something very hard for this, but if you've got like a pillow or a blanket, you can rest your head on that too. This is a very grounding posture. It does help to stretch out the backside of your body, which is great. But connecting your forehead to the floor also just helps to bring you back down to earth. If your head is in the clouds, if you've been learning a lot of new, complicated material or changing up your style of work, can have you feeling flighty and anxious. And this is a great way to counter that. Take one more breath here. Stretch your arms out in front of you. Come up onto your hands and knees. Bring your knees about hip distance apart. Tuck your toes. Lift your hips up to the sky. Melt your chest all the way back into a downward facing dog. Keep really bent knees. Our hamstrings aren't very warm. Try to broaden through your shoulder blades. You externally rotate them and you feel a bit of opening, a bit of space for your neck when you do that. Then notice if you're bending your elbows out wide. That actually is going to scrunch your shoulders up more to your neck. Think about turning the backs of your elbows to face your thighs, or maybe think about it like you're trying to balance a beach ball in between your arms. Press down into the mounds that are underneath your pointer fingers. And take a deep breath here. Take one more breath. As you inhale, lift up onto the balls of your feet. Look forward at your hands. Exhale, bend your knees and walk your feet all the way forward to your hands. Bring your hands to your shins as you inhale, lengthen your spine, lift up halfway, pause here. Keep a bend in your knees to protect your lower back. Hug your belly button to your spine, hug your rib cage into your midline. Have a tiny tuck of your chin, really reaching the crown of your head forwards. You have a straight line of energy that goes from the crown of your head down your spine to your tailbone. And take one more inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Relax your head. Heel toe your feet out wider than your hips. I like to bring my feet to the edges of my mat. Bend your knees a bit and really try to get your torso in between your thighs. Your head hangs down so heavy that you could easily shake it no. Reach for opposite elbows and allow your torso to sway side to side. And take one more breath. And pause in the center. Release the grip that you have of your elbows and heel toe your feet back to hip distance apart. Yoga style hip distance, which you can usually measure by bringing two fists in between your feet. That helps to bring the center of your ankles under the center of your knees, under the center of your hips. Hands to your shins as you inhale, lengthen your spine, lift up halfway. Plant your hands down onto your mat as you exhale. Step your feet to the back of your mat. Lift your hips up to the sky. Bring it into downward facing dog, and you might need to adjust your hand or feet placement. That's okay. You don't have to stay where you land. Let's come into a pigeon pose. Take an inhale, reach your left toe or right toes up to the ceiling. As you exhale, come forward towards a high plank and bring your right knee towards your right wrist. Right toes towards your left wrist. Left knee to the floor. And you scooch it out a little bit further behind you. Perfect. Make sure that you're not rolled over onto your right butt cheek, kind of pivoting your left hip open. You want to have your hips square down towards the floor. If you need a prop to help support your right glute to help keep you lifted, go ahead and do it. Then try to press the top of your left foot against the floor so that you're engaged through your left leg and you're not just collapsing a lot of pressure onto your kneecap. Bring your forearms down to the floor and you can relax. You can rest your head on something. Just make sure you're not slouching when you're here. That's pretty common. You want to keep your shoulders relaxed and stay pretty strong through your upper body, or at least stable. And take one more breath. And plant your hands underneath your shoulders. Lift your torso up. Tuck your back toes. Lift your back knee up. Step your right foot back into your downward facing dog. Left side, as you inhale, reach your left toes up to the ceiling. As you exhale, bring your left knee forward towards your left wrist. Toes forward towards your right wrist. Slide your right leg out a little bit further behind you. And try to take a moment to first focus on your alignment. Think about pulling your right hip forward. Push your left hip back. Make sure you're not rolling over onto your left butt cheek, so you can always prop it up to keep yourself stable. Forearms to the floor. You guys are doing a good job. I want you to take 2 more deep breaths here. Plant your hands underneath your shoulders so you can lift your torso up. Tuck your back toes, lift your back knee off the floor, step into your downward facing dog. Allow your knees to come down onto your mat. Sweep your legs off to one side and sit down onto your butt. And sweep your legs out onto the floor in front of you. I'm going to scooch forward here a bit and come into butterfly. Bring your knees out wide, soles of your feet together. Get the cheek meat out of your way so that you sit nice and tall. Hug your rib cage in, shoulders away from your ears. The closer your heels are to your pelvis, a bit deeper you'll get into your hips, whereas the further away from you your heels are, a bit more you'll get into your hamstrings and into your lower back. Sorry about the answering machine. So wherever you are, sit up as tall as you can, roll your shoulders back, give yourself a big inhale. Hinge at your hips as you exhale. Only go as far forward as you can with a long spine. So you're not rounding into your lower back. You're lifted. You've got that straight line of energy from the crown of your head down your back to your tailbone. You can even think as every inhale, your lungs fill and your spine grows even longer. Every exhale, your lungs deflate, and maybe you get just a tiny bit deeper into your fold. And take one more lengthening inhale. Passively fold as you exhale. Allow the upper part of your spine to round. Let your head and neck hang down heavy. Release your hands, palms face up to the ceiling. Try not to force anything here. Try not to force depth. Allow gravity to do the work for you. And if your head or neck are cranky here, you can always take some props and set them up so that your head can rest on the props, so that it's not so intense there. And take one more breath here. Brace your fingertips against the floor. Lengthen your spine until you're in a half lift. Use the strength of your core to peel yourself all the rest of the way up. And use your hands to close your legs together. Step your feet out to the edges of your mat. Plant your hands onto the floor behind you. Really gently windshield wiper your knees side to side. And pause in the center. I'm going to scooch myself a little bit more forwards here. Grab onto the backs of your thighs. Roll yourself all the way down onto your back. Keep your feet planted on the floor. Grab for your blanket or pillows all rolled up. Press into your feet. Slide your blanket or your pillows underneath your sacrum. And then let your hips relax down. And stretch your legs out long. And I like to bring mine wide as my mat. Arms open down along the sides of your body. Trying to get into your hip flexors here a little bit before we settle all the way into Shavasana. If this is uncomfortable for your lower back, you can plant your feet onto the floor. Take one more breath. And plant your feet onto the floor if they're not already. Press into your feet so that you can lift your hips up. Slide your props out from underneath you. Allow your hips to come back down onto the floor. And take any position that's comfortable for you for Shavasana. Allow your eyes to close. Let go of any breathing patterns you've held on to. Begin to bring awareness back to your body. Allow your head to rock side to side. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Roll out your wrists and ankles. Take a big morning stretch. Reach your arms overhead. Hug your knees to your chest. Roll to your favorite side in the fetal position. Use a free hand to push against the floor and help lift you all the way to a seat. Allow your palms to come together. Thumbs press against the center of your chest. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. Thanks so much for joining in this restorative practice. I hope to see you again soon.